George Walley-sephes, and the question here today is: should one believe in the afterlife? And I believe yes, one should believe in the afterlife because of near-death experiences. For one, near-death experiences are verifiable. Yes, there are some that are not verified, but there are multiple that have been verified. For example, there was a kid who had a near-death experience, and in that experience, he saw a family member that he had never met before because they had passed before he was born, and he had came back and described her, talked about the things that she said, and and that was then verified. His description of her, etc. All that was verified. And there was another woman that goes by the name of Viola Horton, and in her near-death experience, she came out of her body. She had an out-of-body experience, and she had walked through the operating room, and she had went to go see one of her. She said that she had walked to go see one of her family members, her brother-in-law, who was actually having a conversation about her to someone else about how about how sick that she was, and she had also went to go visit her sister. She wasn't able to communicate with them, but she saw what they were doing. And when she came out of her near death experience that was all verified, the conversation that her brother in law was having was verified, and also what her sister was doing at that moment was verified. So how could how could that not be like a near death experience? And another reason why I believe that one should believe in near-death experiences is because of Evan Alexander. I believe he was a neurosurgeon, or he did something in neurology, and he had a near-death experience, and because of he had meningitis, he had a severe case of meningitis, and his brain activity was almost nil. But yeah, he still had a near-death experience, and he had described it as very warm. He first had like he called it an earthworm's eye view, where he saw like complete darkness, and then he just felt love and complete understanding. And he shouldn't have been able to have that or any memories of it or any visualizations at that point, because his brain activity was almost nil. And some of the objections to near death experience is that they can be created by drugs and different chemicals, etc. But one, I don't believe that's true, because one of our speakers that came in, his name was Tim Comley. He had experienced near death experiences, and he has experienced hallucinations from drugs, different chemicals, acid, etc. And he described it to experiences as totally different. Yes, they may feel similar in a way, but the way that they different was that the experience that he had from the hallucinations and the drugs were not memorable, although they were very real and different than anything he's seen before. They weren't memorable, and also just the whole feeling of it was different. It wasn't an ultra real feeling that he got from his near death experience, and also the near death experience is still with him to this day. And as most people that have, like most people that have near death experience, they keep that memory with them forever, and they can always remember it like it was yesterday. So I believe that the two experiences are totally different. That you cannot create a near death experience with drugs, etc. Another objection to near-death experiences was an experiment that happened where they placed a deck of cards um, on top, like near the ceiling, on top of something where nobody could see it unless you were sitting above the ceiling or sitting above the ground. And in the experiment, basically people who had out of body experiences, they claimed they had out of body experiences. None of them, not one person, saw the deck of cards. Many people say that, oh, like they weren't able to see those deck of cards, so it must have been a thought that a memory that their brain formed. And my objection to that is, one, that they shouldn't. The thing is that they placed a deck of cards on the table, but perhaps the near the perhaps that deck of cards wasn't the focus of their memory. Perhaps they were focused on their body, or perhaps they were focused on some other aspect of their near death experience to the point where they placed a near to the point where they couldn't see that deck of cards. It's no different than you sitting in your house and you may have a remote sitting next to you on the table. But you never realize that the remote is there because you're not focused on the remote. You're focused on like the television, if that makes any sense. Or you may be driving and there may be a big giant building to the right of you. And when somebody later asks you, did you see the building? You say no, because you were too busy driving and you were focused on the road rather than seeing that building. Um, so I believe that perhaps they just weren't focused on the deck of cards. That wasn't their point of focus. So maybe that's the reason why they didn't see that deck of cards. I mean, if I had a near death experience and I saw my body and I was floating in the sky, I don't think I would be floating on the deck of cards. I don't think I would be focused on the deck of cards either. So that's why I believe that you should believe in the afterlife, because of near death experiences. Um, they're very some are verifiable, and they make a lot of sense. Um, Mostly due to the fact that you shouldn't be able to have them, but we still can. So it must be that near death experiences are real. That's why we should believe in the afterlife. Thank you.